everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 9, which is titled, Yet Do I Marvel. I was happy that Queen Sugar was back, but they did the same thing that Greenleaf did. You know, they just slid right over the tension that was created when the season ended. And there were several spots where I was a bit confused, like how much time has passed and what was the resolution with the whole Will situation? Like, are they just gonna overlook it, you know, until something else happens and it comes up again? And I think there was even a scene where when Ralph Angel tells Aunt Vi that him and Darla are getting married, and then she's asking him, you know, are you sure about it? And he says something like, well, I got the farm and I got this and I got that going on. And so I'm like, okay, did all this transpire like over a certain period of time? Because if it was a long period of time, why was him and Darla just now telling people that they are engaged? So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the recap. So the beginning of the episode, we have Charley, and there's news coming over about her divorce, you know, so now it's public and everybody knows. And so she's kind of relieved because now she can go out and date Remy publicly. Not that that was an issue in the past, but they wanted to make it seem like it was a big deal now. And I guess she did talk about it at the end of the, you know, before they went into the mid-season break, that, you know, she felt uncomfortable dating him, or actually he felt uncomfortable dating her because she was still married. So we have a scene where they're out and they're walking down the street, and I think they bought something from like a street vendor, and then they stop and they kiss, and I was just like, well, first of all, when they were down wherever they were at, I thought they were in New Orleans and not in St. Josephine's, and the way the camera was panning around, I just knew for sure that Davis was either going to walk up or he was over in that little courtyard area having lunch with, I guess, the, remember the girl that looks like Charley that he was trying to date? The one that Micah walked up on and called him out for being a liar and a cheater. So I thought either he was going to walk up or they were going to be over there having a date, and then it was just going to be an awkward moment, but none of that happened. And so I know I'm in the minority here, but I just don't like Charley and Remy together. I just don't, they have like zero chemistry. And maybe if his role was played by another actor, I might feel differently. But the DeAndre Whitfield and the Charley lady, they just have no chemistry together. Like if I met them in person and they were together, I would think that they were like an awkward couple. And then I really think that Charley and Davis will eventually get back together. And if they don't get back together, that there is going to be at least a realization, you know, that they still love each other, whether they ever get back together or not. And I know that's an unpopular opinion based on, you know, what he did to Charley. But, you know, people have forgiven worse and stayed together and gone on to have a beautiful relationship. So everything seems to be going well for Charley, you know, with the mill and with Remy. But then, you know, she's still having issues with rebuilding her life and deciding, you know, who she is and, you know, outside of the expectations of other people and what she thinks everyone expects of her and wants from her. But then things get even that more complicated when she gets a phone call from her mother saying that she is in town. So Charley been trying to catch up with her mama for the last season and a half. Mama ain't had time for it. Now all of a sudden mama just didn't show up at her doorstep. And so when she get the call, she like had this look on her face and she's like, oh my God, my mother, she's here. And I think she was talking to Remy when she said that. So, of course, she seems to be, like, on edge. Like, this is the last thing I need. Like, I want to talk to her on the telephone, but I don't want her to be here. And it kind of reminded me of, if you guys watch This Is Us, how Kate, the daughter Kate, on last night's episode as well, Kate finally lets her mom know that, you know, she has, like, anxiety when she's around and they don't have this great relationship like the mother thinks that they have. And so the mother's just totally lost because she's like, I love you. You're my whole world. And I can't believe that you feel this way, like totally oblivious to what Kate is going through and the stress and pressure that Kate has grown up with. And that kind of reminded me of Charley and her mom. Then I was really surprised that people were surprised on social media that Charley's mom was white, because I said it. Remember when Ralph Angel got bold and told them about that will, and they were all going through their emotions, and Nova found the box with all the stuff in it. I think it was that recap where I said I got the feeling that Charley's mom is white, and that might explain why Nova only dates white men, or goes through all this like trying to hurt white men because a white woman had hurt her mother. So now we know for sure that Charley's mama is white. Now what I was surprised about was that the actress that they have playing Charley's mom, her and Charley look like they could be the same age. Like, it's not a mother-daughter age gap between those two on the surface. Now, I don't know how old they are in real life, but I just didn't, that character, I just didn't feel like was a good fit to play Charley's mother, because they do look close in age. And then they had the nerve to try and fool us. Like when Charley went to meet her mom at the restaurant, like the camera zoomed in on this black lady that was sitting at a table behind the mother. So the angle was like directly on this black lady. And I'm sitting there like directly looking at this white woman, because I already know that the white woman is going to be the mother. And then they fade out the black lady and zoom in on the mom. And I'm just like, y'all going to have to come up a little earlier in the morning to pull one of those over on me. So, she's disappointed that Charley has decided to run the sugar mill, and she felt that Charley, even though things didn't work out between Charley and Davis, that Charley still would have like stayed in the entertainment business, and she could have been an agent for, some other athletes, because she had proven herself. And Charley was like, I earned the MBA. I can pretty much run whatever kind of business I want to. And then, she kind of like explains herself as to why this is so important to her, and, why she wanted to stay in St. Josephine. But the mama, she was highfalutin. She wasn't trying to hear it. Then they get into this conversation about race. And Charley was saying about how her mom had sent her off to boarding school. And so the mom was saying that, so she sent her to boarding school and had her spend her summers in St. Josephine for, specific reasons. And so she had said in that scene, I sent you away to school because you were a black woman in a white world and you needed the best education and the best pedigree. And then Charley was like, but it wasn't enough. And so I can only imagine, well, first of all, I'm trying to figure out how Ernest ended up with this woman, because, and maybe it was like during that free-spirited, because I think they met in California. So maybe it was during that era, of like the 70s. Would it have been the 70s or the 80s? I don't know. I just can't picture Ernest with this woman. And then, well, we didn't meet the other wife, so I can't really compare those two. But just looking at this woman and thinking about Ernest being on that farm, like what took him to California? What type of life did he live in California? And then they said that, I thought she said that they were married. So then I was confused by that, because I thought she was just a fling. But according to last night's episode, they were actually married, and then he went back to St. Josephine. So I don't know if that's just sloppiness in the writing, or they're trying to take the relationship in a different direction. But whatever the situation was, she really confused Charley, because Charley, she had the white world where she knew, she was taught to act a certain way from when she was at boarding school, that she was this rich white girl. And then she gets down into St. Josephine, and then she has to be this black girl. So I can see how she can be really confused and tormented and not knowing her place and why it's so important to her to show that, to be in her blackness, and then to also use her whiteness for her gain, like running the mill and using, it's kind of confusing, but I kind of get where Charley is and the path that she's trying to take to rediscover herself. So while she's hanging out with her mom, we have a short scene with Davis and Micah, and so Davis is still trying to get Micah to talk about the night that he was arrested, and he lets Micah know that he needs to let his mom know. So Micah didn't want to let Charley know, but Davis told him, you gotta let her know. So then Davis calls Charley and tells Charley, you know, she needs to come over. So then Charley goes over there, and she is just devastated. Her first thought is, oh, we're going to sue them. You know, they're not going to get away with this. But Micah is pleading with her, you know, not to say anything, not to do anything, that he just wants to forget about it. And then, you know, they have a moment where, you know, Charley just breaks down crying, and she's holding him, and Davis is looking on with like this feeling of regret. Like if he hadn't screwed up, they never would have been in Louisiana, and none of this would have ever happened. But I mean, it could have happened anywhere, and just because they were living the lifestyle of the rich and famous when they were out in California doesn't mean that it wouldn't have happened to them. Because just look at Michael Bennett with the Raiders when he was in Las Vegas, and, you know, running down the street and the police, you know, slamming him to the ground and pulling a gun on him. So I don't think class has anything to do with police brutality. I think it happens everywhere, and it can happen to anybody. And then the rest of the time that Charley spends with her mom, they're at Charley's, what were they, barracks that she converted into this loft. And the mom, you know, pretty much tells her that she's competing with Davis and that she's going to help her step up her game. And Charley's like, I'm not competing with him. And Lorna, that's the mom's name, she was like, whether you know it or not, you are competing with Davis. But I'm going to put my little touch on this barrack thing you got going on, and we're going to give him a run for his money. So I'm thinking Lorna Davis might have called Lorna and got Lorna in town so that Lorna can help him get his baby back is what I'm going with. Because what other reason do Lorna have to be there unless she broke and need a place to lay her head? Oh, and then Lorna said that the reason she couldn't come to Ernest's funeral or to come see about Charley when Charley was calling her was because she had a friend that was going through a divorce that lived in another country or something, so she had to go see about her friend. And I'm sitting there like, really? And your daughter was going through a more traumatic experience because she lost her dad, found out that her husband was cheating on her, but you thought it was more important to be selling the seas and living your life. So I think Davis brought Lorna into the picture. Now let's move over to Ralph Angel and Darla. So, like I said, we just jumped on over the engagement, and now I don't know, they engaged, they walking around, and like I said, it could be the very next day, or it could be a week later, I'm not sure. Maybe I missed like the first few minutes of the show where they showed them, I don't know. But from the point I picked up on, I was a little confused about how much time had passed by. So they're walking through the park, and they're discussing a movie that they've just seen, and so they're announcing their engagement, you know, to people as they come along. And I think the first person they told was Nova, because Blue was working on some project in his class at school where he had to build his family tree, and he had like this drawing that he had made that was kind of like cute, and he was showing like the different textures of hair. I think it was the different textures of hair and skin tone. I think that's what the picture was. But anyway, they have to go to Nova's to look for a picture of Ralph Angel's mom. And I'm sitting there saying, I can't believe Ralph Angel, one, doesn't have any pictures of his mother, and two, the fact that he's living in Ernest's house and that Ernest did not have any pictures of his previous wife, unless he took them all down, you know, after she died because it was too painful to look at. But surely there was some photo albums or something laying around that house. But we're going to roll with this. And so, you know, they let Nova know that they're getting married. So, you know, Blue, he's all excited. And, you know, he's like, so you'll be together forever? You know, like forever, ever? Forever, ever? You know, so he was so happy, you know, that his parents were getting married. And what child wouldn't be happy to know that, you know, their parents are going to be living together? And even if he doesn't understand the whole concept of marriage, the concept of family being together is important to him. So then when we see them again, they're over at Aunt Vi's. And so, they're sharing with her that they decided to get married, and Aunt Vi, she's a bit hesitant, like the rest of us. Like, okay, being in love is cute. Asking somebody to marry you is cute. But do you have what it takes to actually be married? Can you support this person? And this was a scene where Ralph Angel was talking about, he got the farm and all of this, he got all this stuff together, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, Ralph Angel. So I noticed that whenever anyone would mention Darla's parents to her, that she would like have this look on her face because Blue said, oh, I'm gonna need pictures of your parents too, Mommy. And so Darla had that look on her face, and then later on, Aunt Vi was kind of like warming up to the whole idea of the two of them getting married, and she threw them a engagement party over at the High Yellow, and that was the most awkward engagement party I had ever seen, because it was like the people who were there didn't even know Darla and Ralph Angel, so I couldn't figure out if these were just like customers that happened to be in the restaurant while the party was going on, or if these were people that Aunt Vi had invited to the party. But she had it all decorated and everything, and had a sign on the door that said congratulations to Ralph Angel and Darla. But it was just, I don't know, like Nova came in. Of course, Nova had already told him that she was happy for him. And then Charley came in, but she kind of like didn't care one way or the other. And then the other people was just going on about their business, sitting at the booths, and I was just really confused. And then Aunt Vi had called Darla over to the side, and she was telling Darla that she couldn't wait to meet her parents. And then Darla had that look again. And so then we had a scene where Darla was like in the back room, and she called her parents, and she got their voicemail, and so she was leaving a message letting them know that she was getting married, and that she was marrying the father of her little boy, as though they had never met Ralph Angel before, and that she's been clean for 2 years, and she just wanted to see them again. And I'm thinking, at that point, like, does Ralph Angel have any concept of what's going on with Darla and her parents? Like, does he know that he's part of the reason that they've disowned her? Like, does he even know like anything about them? Has he ever met them? I'm just so confused. Did Darla get on drugs? Was Darla on drugs before she met Ralph Angel, and that's how the two of them hooked up? I need more history on how the two of them came to be together. So oh, and then also at the little awkward reception, Charley told Nova, that she needed to talk to her about, the whole Micah situation when they get a chance. So Nova, they made a point of making this dramatic exit where Nova grabbed her by the hands and leads her outside, oh, we're going to talk about this. But then they come back in, and we weren't privy to the conversation, because I'm thinking Nova's going to get all upset, and she's going to be like, let's ride down there right now. We're going to get some justice. But no, they just came on back in. Then Ralph Angel gave some look, I don't know what that speech was that he gave about him and Darla being engaged and thanking the people for coming. But it was like a whole lot of awkwardness going on this show. Like, it wasn't really planned out well. And then speaking of Nova, we going on over to her, and once again, I was kind of not understanding what was taking place, because the guy, what's his name, Robert Dubois, we're gonna call him Robert. So Robert was in a lot of the scenes, and I couldn't tell if he was staying with Nova, if he was going back and forth from Atlanta to Louisiana. I don't know what was going on with that whole situation, because there was a scene where she was talking. Okay, so let's back up and talk about what was going on with Nova in this episode. So Nova wrote an article about the potential danger of the Zika virus having an outbreak in the 9th Ward. And so the article that she wrote was supported by some research that Robert had done. And so the article even though it was well received by the newspaper and they thought it was great and everything, and it brought attention to the Zika virus, it caused panic throughout the community. And so then Chantal returns to the scene. And so there was like this scene where, I can't remember, Chantal was there and then Robert walked in. But then Nova didn't say, Chantal, this is my boyfriend or anything. It was just sort of like this just some random guy that I know. But Chantal was basically calling Nova out, telling her that she wrote that article and caused all the fear, and she was wondering if Nova was doing it for her own interests, or, does she really care about the plight of the people? And then Nova had planned not Nova, but Chantal had planned like a community meeting for Nova to come in and talk. And so the people were basically like, girl, when something real happened, then you come and let us know, but don't be putting no articles in the paper about the potential of what could happen. But what did come out of the whole situation was the guy, remember the Timothy North guy, the one that was at the party that Robert had invited her to in Atlanta, where he decided to donate like they didn't say the amount, but it was 7 figures, so it was in the millions of dollars, towards research of the Zika virus in Louisiana. So I guess that was a good thing. But like I say, it was just really weird. And then I think when Ralph Angel and Blue came over to look for the picture, I think Robert was already there. And then when they came in, he just walked out. So then I was trying to remember, like, did Nova introduce the man to her family? Like, somehow I don't see this relationship going very far. And then when she was at the High Yellow for the party, he called her on the phone. That's when he called to tell her about the guy who had made the donation. He was like, well, I wish I was there with you. But then Nova wasn't like, well, come on inside. So I was like, okay, is he back in Atlanta now? Like, I don't know, y'all. Maybe I was just tired when I was watching this show, that it wasn't jiving and lining up with me. But you guys let me know in the comments what you thought. Oh, and do you think that Nova and Chantal are going to end up hooking up together, and that's going to cause friction between her and the Dubois guy, the Robert guy? Like, is that what it's... I don't know. I just don't... Another situation where I'm just not feeling the chemistry between the characters. Like, is Nova really over Chantal? What was the point of bringing Chantal back on the show if they aren't going to end up hooking up together? And if the guy is going to find out? Just no answers, just a bunch of more questions. Then there was a brief scene with Hollywood, where Hollywood had a job. It was like a temporary job. And he was working, as a foreman. And I can't remember what they were doing at this plant. But anyway, he's talking to some of the workers and telling them what they need to do, when this white guy comes up. And the white guy just seems so out of place. And he was like, yeah, they told me to come over here and talk to you because I'm going to be on your team. And then, he was kind of like feeding into Hollywood, like he knew Hollywood's story about being on the rigs. And then he asked him, why did you get fired from the rigs? And he let him know, well, I wasn't fired, I quit. And the guy just was like raising all kind of red flags with me, like, Hollywood, you might not want to trust this guy. So then he tells the guy to go join the team and whatever they were working on. But then the guy comes back later on, and so he's still trying to get more information on Hollywood. And then this car pulls up, and then Sam Landry and some other guys get out of the car, and I guess they were checking on how things were going. And so that was another odd scene. So then they leave, and then a guy comes over and tells Hollywood that they've decided to extend the job, and they want to offer him a position, as a supervisor or foreman or whatever. And then he called Hollywood, so you and the boys, you keep up the good work. I know you call Hollywood a boy, and Hollywood just had this look on his face like he wanted to say something. Then I'm thinking, like, if I was a man and a white man called me boy, like, would I just brush it off or would I say something? Because, see, I know how this mouth is. And if somebody says something to me that I find offensive, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say something, whether you my employer or not. I'm going to let you know that it was inappropriate. I didn't appreciate it. Let's not have this conversation again. So, once again, the little white man was sitting over there. He just had like this smirk on his face when the man called Hollywood a boy. And I'm just like, okay, what's his deal? Because we know this going to come back up later on as well. And later on, when he was talking to Aunt Vi about, you know, the job and them offering him a permanent job, he didn't even mention to Aunt Vi about Sam Landry. Like, did Sam Landry own the company? Did Sam Landry just, you know, was he just there with the people that own the company? Because I think they said something about going to play golf. And I just thought that was odd that he didn't bring up to Aunt Vi about Sam Landry or seeing Sam Landry. And then I still think that, and I think I said this in season 1, seemed like I thought that it was going to come out that Aunt Vi and maybe Sam Landry have had something in the past, or somehow she's more connected to that Landry family than she's letting on. And then the show ends with Aunt Vi. Well, actually, earlier in the show, Aunt Vi was getting her hair done, and she pulled the Viola Davis on the show where she had her natural hair. And I always wondered, like, did Aunt Vi just have a really big forehead? Because I have a really big forehead. And did Aunt Vi just have a big forehead, or is she suffering from like hair loss? But it looks like she just has a really big forehead. And so the hairstylist was telling her that her hair was falling out and was everything okay. And then Aunt Vi, you know, she kind of brushed it off. But then the show ended with Aunt Vi, and she's at the doctor's office, and she has on, you know, the pink paper robe. And I think most women have gone through this at one point or another, where you done disrobed and put on the paper robe, and now you just sitting there waiting on the doctor to come. And it seems like it may only be 2 or 3 minutes between the assistant coming in and taking your vitals and saying the doctor will be here in a few minutes. But it seems like it's an hour because it's cold in there. You got that robe on, and you're just like, oh my God, like, what are they going to come in here and tell me? So I'm not ready to lose Aunt Vi. So I'm going to need like this to be some educational thing. Like maybe she got diabetes, and, you know, it's going to educate the public about how important it is to, you know, stay on top of your health. And if you get diabetes, you need to treat it. Like, please don't let Aunt Vi have, like, I thought it was odd that the little paper thing was pink, because I ain't never seen a pink one before. But let's hope it's not breast cancer or something like that, because then I won't really be done with Queen Sugar. So that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Leave your comments below. Rate the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And use the share button to share the video on your other social media platforms. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.